All right, Hector, I'm ready when you are. All right, thank you, everybody, for your patience. We're going to call this meeting of the Talent City Council regular meeting of May 21st to order. Roll call, please.
Councilor Collet,
Here.
Councilor Fenimroff.
Oh, here, sorry.
Councilor Medina is absent. Councilor Pestizo is absent. Councilor Byers,
Here.
Councilor Parra Miller,
Here.
and Mayor Airsplit.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is additions and corrections to the agenda. And Councilor Penamarath.
Yeah, I'd like to add to the agenda a noise permit for the Talent Business Alliance for the Talent Artisans and Growers Friday evening markets. And I'd like to recommend putting that at the end of the consent calendar, item 6.17.
All right. Are there any other additions or corrections to to the agenda? Councilor Byers?
Well, first I have a question on Councilor Penamaraff's request. Councilor, would you be open to having that be a separate pulled out of the consent calendar?
Yeah, when we get to consent, I was gonna have pull it out.
Okay, great, because that leads to my next thing. I have a conflict of interest connected to that noise permit because I currently have a contract with the Talent Business Alliance.
So we'll take conflict of interest on item number 3.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. It's a new thing.
I'm jumping the
Yeah,
gun.
that's all right. Love your, your caution. 6.7, what number did you call it?
6.17.
I just put it at the,
6.17.
yeah, at the
Okay,
end of consent.
thank you. And then, are there any other additions or corrections to the agenda? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Councilor Byers,
I move to approve the addition to the agenda.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve the addition to the agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Collet,
Yes.
Councilor Fenimroff,
Yes.
Councilor Byers,
Yes.
and Councilor Parra Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mayor.
Thank you, Hector. Next item on the agenda is recognitions, proclamations, community announcements, and recusals. We'll go ahead and start with recusals. Councilor Byers?
I will be recusing myself on the noise permit added to the agenda by the Talent Business Alliance because I have a current contract with the Talent Business Alliance as an independent contractor.
Thank you. Councilor Perry Miller?
I will also be recusing myself due to a conflict of interest with that same item. And that is because I'm a paid employee of the Talent Business Alliance, and that's the organization that pulled the permit.
I will be recusing myself from item 6.17 because I am a paid employee of Talent Business Alliance for conflict of interest. Any other recusals? All right, hearing none. Are there any recognitions, proclamations, or community announcements?
Thank you, Mayor. I have some community announcements. The city offices will be closed this coming Monday, May 26th, in commemoration of Memorial Day. On that note, I will share that the grant to receive flags for the city was approved. And so I don't think we're going to get them up for this Memorial Day, but on patriotic holidays in the near future, you'll be seeing more flags around the city of Talent. The Together for Talent Spring into Recycling event is this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at City Hall. It will be slightly pared down from previous versions. Afterbits will be accepting used and oversupplied done electronic equipment, and Goodwill will be present as well, accepting items that Goodwill accepts. Weed abatement season has begun. It is now May 21st. And so weed abatement requirements are in effect as of May. Well, the summer weed abatement requirements are in effect as of May 15th. We have a couple community announcements and there's a sign at the Rotary reminding folks to sign up for Jackson Alerts to receive emergency notifications on your phone. That's at jacksoncounty.or.gov/alerts. This was formerly known as Citizen Alert, and if you had signed up for Citizen Alert, there is not a need to sign up again. I think I will end there. We have, thank you, Mayor.
Great. Any other community announcements? Council Perry Miller.
Yeah, so this Friday, we actually have the first talent evening market of the season coming up, which is very exciting. Talent Business Alliance and the Golden Grove Collective will be putting that on. And the event is every fourth Friday, May through August. Last count that I saw was 26 vendors for this Friday. We're hoping to have more for the coming months. The event will start at 5 and will go until sunset. There will be live music, food trucks, lots of artisans and farmers from our region. So hope everybody can make it out. Should be a great time.
Fantastic. Glad it's back.
Oh, and more information can be found on our website for the Talent Business Alliance or social media for the Talent Artisans and Growers or Golden Grove Collective.
All right. Any other community announcements? All right. So let's go ahead and move on then to item number 4, which is public testimony. And I do have some speaker request forms. And I think they are all for non-agenda items. Oh, no, that's right. We're not separating them anymore. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and ask if Laura Blake is available. Please, Laura, come to the podium and you'll state your name and your city for the record. And Daniel, will you do the timer for me? Every speaker is allotted 5 minutes tonight.
Hello, my name is Laura Blake, and I've been a resident of Talent for nearly 3 years. I consider Talent a very special city and my forever home. I've been active in our community as a substitute teacher for the Phoenix Talent School District and for their elementary schools, and attend Lifegate Church and shop and dine here as well. After retiring as an elementary teacher for 4 decades, I thought about starting my own private school that would reflect some of the values I hold dear in education. And so I started working on a school called Heritage Community that is based on the Charlotte Mason educational model. And it just provides an alternative schooling option that provides smaller classes, a rich curriculum, and mirrors parents' values for character development. My plan is to have the school site at the Lifegate Church. Lifegate Church is the property of Dimple and Sumesh Bakshi that also owns the Gather Cafe and Bistro Bar in Talent and is leased and pastored by Craig Roddenmeyer. I have both their full support in using the building and the property for this educational venue. This property at 206 West Wagner Street is zoned as residential. According to city zoning, schools are allowed based on obtaining a conditional use permit. I have started this process and I am waiting for the results of the pre-application review shortly to move on to the next and final stages of the application process. You know, in any new business venture, there are always unexpected surprises. In this case, it is with the city that the permit process timeline has now been extended longer than what I was originally told. What has been typically completed within 2 months has now been extended to 4 or 5 months due to the fact that your interim city planner is contracted to work only 2 out of 5 days per week versus a full-time city planner. This abbreviated position inhibits their ability to move the process forward expediently for those in the application permit process. Now, this factor is problematic for me since the timeline in opening a school is dependent upon enrolling prospective families' children in the traditional established times for the enrollment process. Typically, the school year enrollment process begins in the spring when parents are encouraged by all schools to enroll their children and make final decisions for the next year. In my case, having to wait until August to get through the process and get final approval has now become a critical issue since our new prospective school is caught in an extended waiting time period for the conclusion of this conditional use permit process. This dilemma places me as the director and teacher and the families who are wanting to make commitments to a tentative position to make plans based on hope and faith that this school will start on time at this location until final approval. It is a shame and detrimental that Talent only has a city planner with part-time hours because of its impact on eager and serious entrepreneurs for startups who will find themselves with longer than expected delays and timeframes to set up shop, so to speak. Attracting new entrepreneurs is important to Talent, where it brings new amenities and meets the needs of its residents and attracts those in adjoining cities, which adds additional revenue. This is key to Talent for it to continue to be a thriving and attractive community to live in and bring visitors. I would ask you to consider expanding the hours or hiring a full-time city planner to meet the needs of this growing community and demonstrate that our city is strong and capable in its administrative and organizational planning by the use of appropriate timeframes to encourage and support new development and enterprises. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Jay Harland. And are you, Daniel, still, okay?
Good evening,
Please
council.
please state your name and city for the record.
Good evening, councilors. For the record, my name is Jay Harlan with CSA Planning with offices at 4497 Brown Ridge here in Medford. I'm here tonight representing the Phoenix Talent School District. With respect to the Culver Field project, we have a partition that is pending with the city right now for planning approval. And it's to create a lot for the Boys and Girls Club. They have a deal in principle in place. So we're moving ahead with that. The district is, and it's not really on the critical path right now, but it will be shortly when we get to final plating in order to close that deal with the Boys and Girls Club. There's a right of way. People remember, I think some of this came to some people. There's a right of way that's the old Wagner Creek. It's paper street. It's basically too close to you can't really use it. It's too close to the railroad tracks there. As part of this project, there'll be a new right of way that is appropriately separated from the railroad tracks and has a good sight distance. There's also a curve there and stuff. So at any rate, we would request, we've made a few inquiries, and I realize everybody gets busy with priorities and all that, but part of the annexation agreement was that right of way, the paper street right of way would get vacated. And so far, not really anything has happened. And like I said, it's not on the critical path yet, but when the partition is done, they're not going to be able to close with the Boys and Girls Club, and then sort of everything will grind to a halt if we don't get that right of way vacated. So we would request that get advanced and get moved along, and staff has our contact information, and we're happy to provide any. I think the district will provide some guidance and help as necessary, but we would request you move that on, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any other questions? No? Thank you. Good to see you. All right. Next agenda item is, are there any requests online?
Mayor, do you mean from the audience?
What's that?
Emails?
Yeah.
Additional emails? No, there have not been additional emails
Okay.
submitted.
Thank you, Hector. So at this time, we will close public testimony. Next item on the agenda is special presentation, 5.1, a presentation by Recology. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll turn it over to the representatives from Recology, please.
Also, Hector's bringing you another microphone.
Able to see.
presentation?
Yes.
Yes? All right, perfect.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone has, does everyone not have it? All right. Okay, well, thank you, counselors. Thank you, Mayor, letting us have the opportunity to come and speak with you this evening. Good to see a couple familiar faces as well from our tour that we had up at Valley View a couple months ago. The invite, of course, still stands for anyone who wants to get up there and see the trash and recycling in action. My name is Eric Onmark. I'm the Community Affairs Manager for Ecology. This is Robert Long, our Assistant General Manager. And sitting back here is Chris Terry, our Senior General Manager out of Portland. So we just want to talk to you, not just about Recology, but as well about the price increase for this upcoming year. So some of this information is going to be a little familiar for a couple of you, but want to provide just some background again about Recology, what we do different here in the Rogue Valley relative to our peers, and then any questions you have at the end, certainly happy to take. Oh, there we go. So Recology is unique in that it's the largest 100% employee-owned company in our industry. We are a West Coast company, born and bred. We operate California, Oregon, and Washington. And we're a leader in what we call resource recovery. So trying to get away from the old adage of garbage company and waste and all those terms. Talk about resource recovery because our infrastructure is built around recovery. We have 14 recycling facilities, 8 composting facilities, yet only 2 landfills. So our infrastructure, our processing infrastructure, ultimately the ethos of this company, is built around keeping things out of landfills. That's something that makes us unique. Here in the Rogue Valley, we have 39 employee owners, soon to be 40, but we're been here for a while and certainly hope to be here for quite a bit longer. In terms of the services we provide, collection, that's probably what you're most familiar with. You see the trucks here typically on Wednesdays and a little bit on Fridays here in Talent. So the collection company, we have the recycling center in Ashland that has a couple pretty cool updates coming to it here that I'm excited to talk about. And then the transfer station up on Valley View Road. So that's our local presence. And then we have regional support. That's, for instance, Chris being able to come in and help us from the Portland area, but our safety team, human resources, finance, legal, our environmental team as well, come out of our regional as well as our corporate offices.
Yeah, so what makes Recology a great place to work? We're employee owned. Everyone owns shares of the company. We're not publicly traded, and we offer competitive wages. We do educational assistance. We promote from within, and in turn, we feel like this creates our low turnover for Recology. Additionally, we've been here for 16 years. We're not just garbage truck drivers, we're environmentalists, we're a finance team, people and culture team, safety team. And we also have a staffed local customer support center, which we have bilingual team members on that helps with our Spanish speaking community members. This is a fun slide that we're really proud of. This is Michael Gunter. He's a roll-off driver for us. He was born, raised, and still lives in Ashland. He was recognized as a driver of the year. It's a national competition. It's the Garbage Man Gala. It's quite extravagant, 140,000 applicants, and he was one of the ones picked out of there. So it was a first for us. So we just celebrated that and continue to celebrate that by sharing the knowledge on it.
I mentioned a few moments ago things that we do here that are unique, and we really truly mean that. The services that you get from Recology and that we have here in the Rogue Valley are services that are either not available anywhere else nearby, or things that you may only have access to if you're in a large metropolitan area such as Portland, such as the Bay Area. Some of these things you may know, some of these things you may not. So we've had what I've been calling lately an expansive RMA ready recycling list. And by RMA, that's in reference to the significant shift that's going to be happening this summer in the state's recycling program. entire state of Oregon is streamlining its recycling, expanding the program, as well as shifting the burden of recycling infrastructure onto producers instead of ratepayers. So everyone in Oregon is going to be recycling the same list coming here in a couple of months. First state in the country to do that. You're going to see very few changes here in Talent and in Ashland because the list of recyclables that we've had and we've had for a number of years is very similar to that statewide list. So we've already been recycling more than our peers here in Phoenix, Medford, and elsewhere. In 2018, with National Sword, which is a policy that undercut a lot of the global recycling markets, we were able to pivot, backhaul our material down to our LEED certified recycling facility in Samoa, California, keep that recycling list intact, keep that material moving. We have curbside glass collection. I think the next closest place to here that has curbside glass is Eugene. Again, something you just don't see too often these days, something you don't see in the Rogue Valley. We're also the only one in the Rogue Valley that actually send their glass to actually glass cullet recycling in new bottles. Others in the region are using it for landfill sloping and alternative daily color. So glass here heads up to Portland to glass, and ends up as a new glass bottle. We launched mattress recycling 3 years ago at Valley View Transfer Station through a partnership with Klamath Works over in Klamath Falls. Happy to report we're the first mattress recycling council depot in the region. I've recycled over 7,000 mattresses since 2023. If you want to put that in context, that's about 40 to 50 full 53-foot semi trucks full of mattresses that we've kept out of landfill through that partnership. We just launched battery recycling, another first in the region. That's household batteries, so they're alkalines and the old drill batteries that don't pack a punch anymore. All those things up at Valley View Transfer Station you can bring up. Again, the only battery recycling in the region. We do paper shred recycling for a very large bookmaker in town. We do a bike upcycling program through RVTD that's put over 100 bikes into the community that were received at Valley View Transfer Station, intended for scrap. Our employees pull them aside. A volunteer from RVTD comes and rehabilitates them. He has a team of 5 or 6 volunteers. We take ink cartridges. That's another one that a lot of people don't know about. I hand sort those and they end up getting boxed and sent out to an organization called Planet Green. Nearly 3,000 this past year. And then all of our collection carts, the ones you see out here after a strong career of 10 to 20 years, they're a little worse for wear and need to head on to cart heaven. So they ended up getting disassembled, pelletized, and recycled, whereas others in the region are not taking that extra effort to do that. We're continuing that commitment to recovery by exploring food scrap composting. Our North Star, so to speak, is to eventually be able to launch a curbside food scrap composting program here, akin to programs you would see in large metropolitan areas throughout the West Coast. That's still a little ways off. There's some capital improvements that the regional composting facility would need to make. That's a facility that we don't operate, and some investments we need to make locally at our transfer station as well. In the meantime, since we know there's a lot of interest in a program like this in the region, we're exploring a couple of pilot opportunities, some in-vessel composting units, things that we would have at our transfer station, allow a customer drop-off, type program. So a couple technologies here that we have quotes on that we're in discussions with and are trying to just work internally to find a way. How do they get sited? What are the power requirements? What would a customer drop-off program look like? But again, kind of a stopgap measure, so to speak, in the meantime, until we can get to a more flush curbside program. And then just lastly, just in terms of some of the impacts here, outside of just your daily collection and processing, education and outreach, me and others that are out in the community. Robert mentioned our local customer service center. When you call us, someone on Oak Street, picks up. So these calls aren't going anywhere outside of the Rogue Valley. They're staying here locally. Special material drop-off events, 170 cars, I think was the number, if I remember, 65,000 pounds of leaves at the leaf drop events that we had in partnership with Ashland, as Ashland Talent together back in the fall. In-kind and financial sponsorships. We're very proud to support Talent Maker City right across the street, providing them with their trash and compost and recycling services. We got a tour of that facility It's a fascinating place, as I know you all know, and we're excited to support that group. We do have R99 fuel, that's renewable diesel, and all of our diesel assets, again, the first in the region to do that, and still, I believe, the only fleet in the region to be running renewable diesel and its diesel assets. And then one of the last, if not the last, staff recycling centers anywhere in at least the southern part of Oregon. And we have a change coming there. Not only will you see changes for those who come to that, it's only 3 miles down the road for almost all of your recycling needs, but we're in the process of finalizing an agreement with Goodwill to have a staffed donation trailer sited at that Ashland Recycling Center to make it a recycling and donation center. So continue to just add value to that property and make it more of an asset to the community.
All right, so the proposed 5.75% increase, what is that going to do to the standard 32-gallon residential customer? That 5.75 is going to up it $1.43. So effective rate will be $26.33. A lot of what's driving that cost for us is disposal. We do our best to anticipate what the landfill is going to charge us for disposal. These last 2 years have been double what we anticipated, so we've eaten that cost quite a bit. Additionally, labor, we want to retain the team that we have. We have an amazing team and we want to continue to attract amazing talent. And then, of course, growing the team as well. Modernization and improvement, we've put 6 new trucks on the road this year alone. We're bringing in new equipment. We're trying to update and make it a proud place to be and continue to be.
So really where that brings us, as Robert mentioned, to that new rate effective July 1st of $26.33. Everything that we've kind of covered on these previous slides, you see some of them listed here. The company has a lot of things going for it, and its customers do as well. About the only thing we don't have going for us is our proximity to the landfill. So we have further to actually go to get material there. Despite that, the proposed rate would actually put us at 10 cents per month higher than what our neighbors just north of here are currently paying, and frankly not getting the same breadth or quality or level of service that we provide. And that is it. Happy to take questions, comments.
Councilor Penamroff?
Thank you. I am so sorry I missed the tour. I'll have to get it. Thanks for the great work you're doing. So as far as the rate increase goes, 2 questions. What percentage of an increase, you might have said, but I missed it. And when was the last time Recology raised rates for talent folks?
Yeah, so it's 5.75% is the proposal. It's $1.43 per household. That's for just kind of a standard 32-gallon customer. We typically do our rate increases in the spring. So we would have been here, it would have been April of last year. Might have been March. Generally, our price increases do go into effect April 1st. We pushed this one back really to July, partly because, it was above CPI. So we wanted the opportunity to be able to come in here and speak before council and explain some of these reasons. We wanted the opportunity to host the tour at the transfer station to talk about some of those improvements with the modular offices. And, for those who were there, you saw the very small meeting space that we have to, really show also some of the issues with the paving. So springtime is our typical price increase season.
Thank you. And I'll check with, oh, she's not here. I think the sewer rates went up higher this year for Rogue Valley Sewer Services and stuff. So I think the costs are really driving that. So you're not alone.
Yeah. Yep.
Councilor Coley?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, and the tour was very informative. I think I've seen it publicly and you mentioned it on the tour, but can you speak to the shift in time that trucks are going to be out and about?
Yeah, happy to. No, I was going to bring it up anyway, so I'm glad you made the emphasis. So separate from this, our intent is to move the summer start time, so June through September, for residential collections 1 hour earlier. So right now, we align with a City of Ashland noise ordinance that states a 7 a.m. start time for residential collections. You may think, I've heard garbage trucks well before that. That could be one of our commercial trucks that doesn't have, that restriction. So we align with that. That comes over to, for Talent as well for that Wednesday and Friday. The City of Ashland changed their noise ordinance and moved a June through September start time for construction and noise inducing work to 6 a.m., which gave us the opportunity in Ashland to move our start time for residential collections for those hot months 1 hour earlier. There's an email contact with Alex about, hey, we'd like to be able to do this in Talent as well. We know it will be a disruption. Those trucks get very hot. Our employees get very hot. We also have some pressure from OSHA with respect to working conditions and keeping drivers out of heat and out of those. And to some of our trucks, they're not fully automated. We saw drivers getting in and out. So for that reason, we're wanting to move those June through September start times 1 hour earlier to 6 a.m. So it's a safety, wellness, and OSHA alignment for the reasons.
Thanks for the explanation. I just wanted to throw in there, I've had some conversations with people maybe noticing, like saying what you mentioned, that they've heard garbage trucks coming earlier. And I'm just curious if you have, can't remember if I've seen anything in like the Talent News Review yet, but if you have any sort of plan of letting people know about this, and then who's going to field the inevitable call of,
Oh, yeah.
I heard the garbage truck
It's
coming at 5
Robert's
a.m.
personal line. So yes and yes, it's going in the Talent News and Review. It's going in the Ashland Sneak Preview, Ashland.news. It was sent to Hector, I believe. I think I did. It's going to be on our website and our social.
It's also, the CSRs also have a script as well to kind of walk through the phone calls, because there is going to be an anticipated increase in the phone calls.
Yeah. Robo. We have a robocall,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got, we have a new technology. It's called Text 'em All. That we're gonna try to get in line for this upcoming thing, so we can do a blast text or phone to those individuals. So the good news is, since we're officially only up here really 1.5 days a week, it's really only Wednesdays, and then a little bit on Friday as well. So it's not necessarily, a Monday, Tuesday, Monday through Friday type situation. And
Thank you.
just those 4 months.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments, gentlemen?
Just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Item number 6 on the agenda is consent calendar. Is there anything on the consent calendar to come out for discussion? Might be, go ahead, Counselor Penamara.
Sure, I was gonna move pulling item 6.17, the noise ordinance out of the consent calendar.
Okay, we'll move 6.17 out of the consent calendar and take it up next. So 6.1 through 6.16 on the agenda. Is there any comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion. Counselor Byers,
I move to approve items 6.1 through 6.16 of the consent calendar.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve 6.1 and 6.16 on the through, thank you, through 6.16 on the consent calendar. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Counselor Collet,
Yes.
Counselor Penamroff,
Yes.
Counselor Byers,
Yes.
and Counselor Parra Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mayor.
One second. Are you, do you have that recorded, Hector?
He
said
motion carries.
Did he? Okay, I didn't hear him. I will ask the council if we want to relax the rules to take a question from the audience.
Want a motion?
Yeah,
I move to relax the rules to take a question from the audience.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to relax the rules to take a question from the audience. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Collet,
Yes.
Counselor Penemra,
Yes.
Counselor Byers,
Yes.
and Counselor Prime Miller.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mayor.
Thank you. Chris, if you want to come forward and state your name and city for the record.
Oh, green. Okay.
Will you say it again?
Yeah, Chris Carey, General Manager for Recology, and I live in Portland, down here to visit for this meeting. I just wanted a point of clarification since we're all sort of feeling it out here with Eric, myself, and Robert being somewhat new to the process here. Next steps for our price increase requests, what would that look like? Is that consent agenda next time? What do you need from us, I guess is what I would want to ask.
How are you going to handle that procedurally, Alex?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I think that was what I was thinking. I honestly was not totally connecting the two
Yep.
when I got the initial request for a presentation. But that occurred to me as we were talking, and yes, we'll collect some information from you all, put a staff report on it, add it to the consent agenda. And if council would like to discuss it, we'll discuss it. But I think it'd be great if there are questions that council has now for Recology while they're in town. That would be.
And we're more than welcome to come back. Robert and Eric are quite capable of answering those questions, but I just want to flush out what the next steps are because we had hoped to hit a billing cycle in July. So we have some time, and y'all meet every 2 weeks, 2 weeks, okay. So we can come back if needed to answer questions.
So it sounds to me like it's going to go to the consent calendar, which is pretty procedural. You just watched us do it. So I do appreciate what Alex just said. If we have any questions, now would be a good time to ask them so that we can just go to consent calendar on it. Counselor Perry Miller?
I don't have a question, but I do think that procedurally, it might be a good idea to not have it on the consent calendar because it is a rate increase. So my recommendation would be new business, but I still feel like the presentation was very helpful and I don't have any questions.
Counselor Penamarav?
I want to agree with that, and memory seems to suggest there's a resolution involved. I'm not positive about that, though. So yeah, I wouldn't put it on consent, but
Yeah, and I'll give you some background on how our franchise works. If we are doing a CPI increase, it's a consent item and it's an automatic because it's within the franchise and allows that. When we come into a rate case, which says we want to go over CPI, which is what we did tonight, essentially, then I believe it's a different process to
Thank
your
you.
point.
Counselor Byers?
Would it be possible for Recology to put this slideshow via some link that we could add to our website so people with additional questions don't need to hunt through the packet to find it and can just click on it?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, great.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions or comments? All right, well, we'll see it on the agenda next time. All right, thank you,
Hey,
Chris.
thank you for accommodating it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. All right, with that, we'll go back. We're going back to being on rules, on council rules. So we have item 6.17. I will entertain a motion.
I think you need to.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, hand you the I'm handing the gavel to, here we go, Council President Penamara.
Thanks. So for item 6.17, that's the noise permit for TBA. And I just wanted to say, if I'm remembering the council rules, I can't vote on this because I'm assuming the role of the mayor as presiding. I'm
We
not.
did change the rule so that you can't vote.
Yeah,
Which is in alignment with the charter.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right. So I think the rule of necessity would be for two counselors to have to be able to vote.
yes. And Madam Chair, just if I may, for
Please do,
clarification.
please do.
ORS 244-120, so two, small b, big B, says that, a councilor may, public official may vote on the manner in which they have an actual conflict of interest if their vote is necessary. And the minimum number of votes required for the governing body to take the official action. So, interim chair Panama is correct that two members of you, who have an actual conflict of interest would have to vote, but you can't participate, in the discussion or deliberation. Just vote.
Can I ask a question? Do you think it has to be both of us, or can we like draw straws and just have just one of us?
It needs
It-
to be
We
three.
need- we need to,
Oh,
because
okay.
the acting chair cannot.
Perfect storm. Okay. Thanks, Dave.
So with that, I will entertain a motion to on the noise permit.
I just have a question about it.
Certainly, Councillor Cullen.
What is our current noise ordinance that this is in perfect? Are they amplifying after the noise ordinance is in effect?
If I may, yes, any amplified noise in
Okay.
the city requires a noise permit. So, yeah, that's why it is before.
That clarifies it. Thank you.
And would you like to offer a motion? Sorry, Councillor Byers, you're not, I don't think you're allowed to participate, but, question, go ahead.
It's just about process, not about the permit. Can we second a motion?
Yes, that's,
Okay. Okay.
that would be allowed.
Part of the voting process. I'm ready with a motion.
Councillor Cullen.
I move to approve the noise permit for Talent Business Alliance that will be on May 23rd, June 27th, July 25th, and August 22nd.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve a noise permit for Talent Business Alliance on May 23rd, June 27th, July 25th, and August 22nd for the Talent Artisans and Growers Friday evening market. Any deliberation? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilor Collet,
Yes.
Councilor Byers? Oh, Councilor, wait,
Yeah,
Pardon me,
you'll have to ask Councillor Byers and Councillor Perry Miller.
Councilor Byers?
Yes.
Councilor Par Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries, Chair.
Thank you. And
Apologies for my confusion.
thank you for the great civics lesson. And I will turn the magic gavel back over to the mayor.
And if I may just note for the record, we'll include the application as part of the minutes as we didn't get it in the package.
Yeah, also the reference to the ORS, please. Yeah. Okay. And item number 7 is unfinished business. There is none. Item 8.1 on new business is the update to the Talent Harvest Festival Committee resolution. Staff report?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. It's high time for us to get planning underway for the 2025 Harvest Festival. And I am bringing this item before the council for several reasons. One is, I'll take it sort of in order of the staff report. One is, I understand my predecessor his goal, I think, is not too strong to say, was to move towards a future where the Harvest Festival may not be a city function, that he was interested in preparing a path where it may be more community driven. Not that the city is not a community, of course, but is a government. I wanted to take the temperature of this body on whether or not that was the direction that this body wanted to go with the event. Particularly if that was a strong sense of this body, because I think it would impact the way that I would approach it this year. The second item that is the reason for bringing it forward is that we do have an existing resolution about the governance of the of the committee that prescribes some fairly specific approaches to that committee that isn't entirely in keeping with the way other committees are being operated, and so I wanted to get some clarification on that. Additionally, assuming that you all do want the city to continue taking a leadership role with the event, I want to take get input from you all in terms of the goals and the outcomes of the event that the council would like to be prioritized. And then I have proposed a specific approach to actually planning and delivering the event this year, which is something of a combination of recent years' approaches. So last year, my understanding is the city was in a bit of a bind in terms of the timing when this decision was being made, and requested support from Talent Business Alliance, who made use of a professional event planner under contract to Talent Business Alliance to do the large majority of the heavy lifting. My proposal to you all is to use that, but not exactly that same process, but for the city to directly solicit the employment of a contractor who could do similar work, and also to impanel an informal committee to advise that contractor on when they inevitably have questions about what the city needs and wants from the event. So with that stage, I welcome your questions and discussion in whichever order you all want to tackle these questions.
Counselor Byers?
Mayor, I apologize. This slipped my mind. I would like to declare a potential conflict of interest because of the potential for me to submit a proposal should there be an RFP process for an outside coordinator for this event for this year. That process has not happened. I have not submitted anything, but it would be something that I would submit a proposal for should that go through.
Very good. All right, any questions or comments from the council? I think, Alex is looking for some input, so I'm gonna, I will start with Councilor Collet and then Councilor Panamarev.
Yeah, just to clarify, the advisory community and staff advisory group, that would be advising the potential contractor. You said you described them as an informal committee.
Yes, and sorry, that's probably an inartful term, but I wanted to make very clear is that the proposal, the resolution as proposed, would establish a committee that I believe would fit under the exemption from public meeting rules. So it'd be a committee that advised no more than one public official, likely the city manager, and then the contractor reporting to the city manager.
That's the clarity I was looking for. Thank you.
Councilor Panamarev?
I actually have the same question, what the committee was, so.
And those exemptions can be found under OAR administrative rules. Any other comments or questions? I just would say, as somebody who has watched the Harvest Festival over the years, I mean, I appreciate the idea that the city retain the Harvest Festival, but find a different approach than what has been done historically. I think the resolution you're referring to goes back to 2006. And since that time, it relies on the consistency of volunteer groups that come and go. And I've seen really fun and successful years, and I've seen really, really challenging years, and I've also seen years where it really taxes the staff capacity because of the way the resolution has it structured. So I do think that restructuring in a way where the city has the ability to hire an event coordinator and then, yeah, utilizing community members as an advisory to them makes a lot of sense, because I think there's institutional knowledge in our community that's going to be really helpful. And then finally, what I would say, what I appreciate about your proposal, Alex, is that I think we have enough data and information at this point in time to really develop a consistent model of what this can look like and how to execute it. And with the idea that we have an opportunity with TLT, with transient lodging tax, and how that could fund this effort as a potential. It's just falls into place really on what an opportunity this community has to do both of those things and fund at least most of it through a TLT. So that in my mind, based on some of the reports that we got from last year, that not only gives us an opportunity to like execute a quality event every year, a well-funded event with those additional funds, but it could also, if they're even needed, but it can also provide for an opportunity for that event to have a growth plan or, you know, add value as we go along. So I think it's the right track. And I think it'll create consistency, and I think it solves a lot of issues and checks a lot of boxes. So I hope that was my way of saying that I think you're headed in the right direction if you're looking for that feedback.
Thank you.
Does anybody see it differently? Or wants to add some comments to that? And I think Alex is looking for that direction. Counselor Panamarev?
Yeah, I just want to say, I don't know why it was so good last year, but it was really good last year. And so I'm really looking towards the people like yourself who were more involved to point out if there's flaws in this or not. Because I do think there's people who know how to make this work, and I'm not one of them.
Counselor Collet?
Yeah, from my understanding of how the event went and reading the report that was provided in the agenda packet, I think sticking to the recommendations from that report would be where I would see us going. I feel like the resolution that's proposed seems to do that. It also looks like it repeals the previous resolution, which sounds like it was constraining on the process. So I would love to see, it become a sustainable event, both in economic terms, but also in, staff time expenditures of the city, stress on people. So I'm supportive of moving forward with the proposal.
Counselor Perry Miller?
Yeah, I think that I agree with everything that's been said. I think that this this plan adds a lot more flexibility for the staff and for like the whole event to really come together in a way that doesn't tax the city in a very big way every single year for a very beloved event, but for an event that is a massive lift. And yeah, I just would also just echo that I do think it's a really important event. I know that the 2 years that we didn't have it, people really, really missed it. So I'm glad that we're able to figure out a way for it to continue more sustainably.
Do you have enough input at this point, Alex?
Thank you very much, Mayor. I do, and I would welcome the adoption of the resolution that would change the structure. Thank you.
All right. If there's no more comments or questions, I will entertain a motion. Counselor Collet?
I have a motion, and just to clarify, do I need to read the entire resolution or just the resolution number and title?
Just the resolution number and title. And can you pull up the page number that it's on? Because I just don't
82.
have a split screen. Just so I can watch the.
I move to, are you ready?
Yep.
I move to approve resolution number. Oops, I move to approve resolution number 2025-116-R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Talent reorganizing the Talent Harvest Festival Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-116-R, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Talent reorganizing the Talent Harvest Festival Committee. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Roll
I
call.
mean, sorry, roll call. I just love saying that. I'm gonna miss that.
All those in
So-
favor, please say roll call.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good compromise. It's that old school stuff. Roll call, please.
Counselor Collet,
Yes.
Counselor Penemroff,
Yes.
Counselor Byers,
Yes.
Counselor Prime,
Yes.
motion carries, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Next item is 8.2, which is the approval of Belmont Railroad Crossing property proposal. Staff report.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. There's two reasons this item is before the council. First, back in the fall of 2022, the attorney for the developer at 201 Belmont wrote to the city council demanding and asserting a legal right to demand that the city apply for a rail crossing at Belmont Road. Speaking as the city's legal counsel, I responded that there was no such legal right and that the city would nevertheless be open to negotiation toward that end, provided that there were certain clear understandings in advance about certain issues. Mostly those were funding issues, who would have responsibility for what. The response was intended, our response was intended not to be taken as a refusal, but as a serious openness to further negotiation. And it proposed general first and second steps towards negotiation. The developer's attorney mistakenly, I believe, took the city's response as a flat refusal, rejected it and rejected further discussion and suggested that the developer their next step would be litigation, which indeed did ensue. So the first reason for this proposal is to clarify that the city did not and does not refuse to consider filing the application under conditions it is willing to negotiate, and to state clearly that those specific conditions need to entail what those specific conditions need to entail from this city's perspective. The second reason for the proposal is that the developer has recently made now public allegations that inappropriate non-governmental reasons were behind the city's response to the developer's contention that the city must file the rail crossing application. So this proposal is an attempt to clarify more specifically and publicly that the city had and has very appropriate governmental concerns that have to be addressed to the city's satisfaction before the city can move forward with such an application. This proposal tries to be very specific about what those appropriate governmental concerns are. So tonight, the agenda item is to put before the council the question of whether such a proposal makes good governmental sense at this time, and whether the conditions, especially in items 1 through 9 of the proposal, are sufficient and clear. So staff does recommend approval of this proposal, but is anxious to hear the city councilors' thoughts and concerns about it.
Any questions? Counselor Coley?
Yeah, so just to understand the potential financial implications of this proposal on the city, is this asking, would the city expend money or would the developer be paying for this?
This is trying to make clear that the city would have, if we could come to an agreement, would have no more financial responsibility than they would if with any other developer to make this project go forth. And then specifically lists the things that we are aware of that have the potential to require funding that the city should not be responsible for, that the developer should be responsible for.
Thank you.
I recall that being in the original agreement. The city would not have the financial responsibility. It seems odd, but not surprising that we find ourselves in a place where we're actually passing something that just reiterates what the original agreement said. Just speaks to how challenging this process has been with this particular developer. Okay. Counselor Penamarav?
Yeah, my question too has to do with the financial impact on the city, and given how strapped we are for financial resources. I'm wondering that in agreeing to this, will we be compensated for staff time? Or staff time basically going to be, we're going to be footing our taxpayers will be footing the bill for staff time.
In our original response, and particularly because of the timing of that discussion just after the Alameda fire, when we were severely strapped for staff and as well as money, the proposal was that they should pay for staff time. That's not specifically addressed in this proposal. The council might want to add that. I left that out as a matter for negotiation because whatever we negotiate towards a final resolution, if there is one, would have to come before the council, and you could sort of address that then too.
If I could follow up, I'm just reminded of some of the testimony we got today. But tonight, and I'm not sure what's standard and what was agreed to before, but I do want to push that to the extent we can to protect staff time because it's so precious for us.
Well, if the council wishes, that could be an added item in section 9.
And sorry, just to follow up again, if I don't want to push an idea that is not a good idea, that would make it look like a refusal. So I'm really open to that. It's just it's a concern I have.
Understand. And I will say the one the way I phrased this proposal, it says we would not be committed to pay for anything more than we would pay for any other development, any other subdivision approval negotiation in the city. Normally we do require a certain coverage of staff time. It doesn't always cover all of the staff time. So I could go back and add a clause that clarifies that there may be some involvement in payment for staff time as in a normal application.
Counselor, okay.
I think that makes sense to me to further clarify that it's the same as any other application. And while, yes, there is clearly current burden on city staff's ability to complete regular permits, as we heard this evening, this shouldn't be considered any differently than another request.
I want to say something for the record, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's important to clarify that the earlier testimony about the slow community development, it appeared, or it could appear that it's a budgetary issue when really it's a hiring pool issue. And so we're contracting with somebody based on their availability, not based on what we're budgeting for. My understanding, like, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, the last planner that we just hired, like we were in weeks with another larger city to get that person. So like it is a challenge across the region that the planners are in short supply and have been for a while. So, I mean, I think it's important to say that because I think the issues are not budgetary issues, but are availability issues, and I don't want to give the community the wrong impression. Does that sound right, Alex?
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to address that. Yes. And I would share and clarify that the RV cog planner is working 3 days a week. And we have hired a new planner who is working 2 days a week and will be 3 days a week starting in June. So we are moving towards improving that level of service. And to speak to just to agree with your counsel, it's quite a common although it's a common practice with very large projects, which aren't very common, but when you have large projects, it's not unusual to have a negotiated agreements with a applicant, specifically because they do want to move quickly. And local governments are often not capable of moving quickly without that financial assistance. So just to affirm, I think that what you all are requesting is within normal practices.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I'm going to take this opportunity to also say that my hat is off to City Manager Alex for being able to land that really good hire in the face of higher wages elsewhere. And I mean, our community was a big attraction and appreciate the hard work you did to get that staff member here.
Thank you.
Councilor Byers?
Right. It's kind of a two-parter. So would asking for compensation for staff time potentially help talent hire a contracted city planner to be assessing some of the work just on that single project?
On the Belmont project?
Like, would that make sense as like another piece of information to include in this contract? One, so that we aren't bottlenecking all the other requests that are coming through the office, but two, to really clarify, like, that's what this gets you. This helps us offset that as we are onboarding a new staff member, or it would pay for staff time if that process actually is initiated after our staffing is a bit more robust. Was that circuitous enough for you?
I understand the question, but I think I do, and I think this is a case where having somebody with planning background would be helpful in any, if the developer is willing to sit down and discuss these things, it would be helpful for us to have somebody with real experience in planning, and probably that the way to get that is through a contract.
So following up, like, to me, then it makes even more sense to build that into the contract, that we wouldn't be needing to cover this expense of hiring a contractor to
think that-
provide that
I
level of experience.
understand and agree with your point.
Yeah, okay.
But I do think that is a, like that's a level. Would be. for staff,
Absolutely, but
yeah,
I just
City
feel like
manager's
it,
purview.
at some point in this process, I think that's a valuable thing to outline, like, we're asking for this because.
Great. Any other comments or questions about this?
If I may,
Alex?
to that last point, it's often occurs that the applicant will fund the city to hire a contractor. Sometimes the applicant will hire that contractor directly themselves with the city approval of, an independent and a qualified firm. And I just want to encourage your attorney to my perspective is that we may be best served by making the language very clear that we will treat this applicant in the same manner that we would treat any other applicant, and focus on that and less spelling out what all those scenarios might be in a way that could be misinterpreted or misrepresented.
Understood.
Counselor Collet? Oh, are there any other questions? Counselor Penamara?
So, I'm saying with that advice, so my question is, would we go for the first or the second motion? Are we proposing? Based on this discussion, where did we land? Do you think we need to make changes or not make changes to capture? What we concerned about?
Can I clarify that question? I think I'm hearing, is it already in the design of the proposal that we're just saying we're going to treat this developer like any other developer? So it would be just adopting, or it would just be making a motion on our kind of like how things are already established in these documents. Yeah. So that would be like that first motion. Yeah. Right? That's how you currently have it. is-
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, that was a little fragmented myself. All right, so I'll entertain a motion. Council Penamara.
I move to authorize staff to submit the attached proposal to developer and bring back to council for its consideration any possible revisions tentatively agreed upon in staff's discussions with the developer's representatives.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize staff to submit the attached proposal to developer and bring back to council for its consideration any possible revisions tentatively agreed upon in staff's discussion with the developer's representatives. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in, roll call, please.
Counselor Collet,
Yes.
Counselor Penamara,
Yes.
Counselor Byers,
Yes.
and Counselor Primero.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mayor.
All I can say, Dave, is good luck. I'm not certain what the heels in the mud is about, but appreciate that you've expressed an open position. Next item on the agenda is 8.3, which is approval of congestion mitigation and air quality application for Creel Bear Creek corridor. Staff report?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Just as a preliminary, I will share, Public Works Director Lagoa is going to make the presentation. I presented a staff report, just due to staff time and availability. And the Public Works Director has provided in writing to you all a slightly revised staff report that has an updated version of the application, and a little bit more background on the history of the funding. And we will include that in the minutes for the benefit of the public. And with that, Gao Ying, if you're available, I would turn it over to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Alex. Madam Mayor and council members, issue before the council tonight is staff are seeking approval to submit a federal funding application through the Logo Valley Metropolitan Planning Organization, short RVMPO for short, for construction of the Creel Road to Bear Creek Greenway Connector Path. As you all know, the background, the absence of a connection to the Bear Creek Greenway between Lee Newberry Park and the next access point in the south near Ashland. It has a big gap, and it has identified as a critical gap in the regional active transportation network. The project has been in the planning pipeline for several years and was recently re-added to the State Transportation Improvement Program, STIP for short, under key number 21197. And there's an attachment for that information for you to review. The Oregon Department of Transportation, in cooperation with the City of Talent, has programmed $560,812 dollars 50 cents in federal funds through the Federal Highway Administration, along with the required $64,187.50 local match. That accounts for 10.27% from the city. This brings the total project funding for design and planning to $625,000. As formalized in ODOT agreement number 000-34073, which you have approved previously. However, the original project was removed from the RVMPO's Transportation Improvement Program due to the city's inability to secure matching funds at that time. With the match now secured and design efforts underway, the city must reapply for the CMAQ funding. That's the congestion mitigation and air quality funds through the RVMPO in order to advance to the construction phase. The current conceptual cost estimate for the project is over $1 million. This figure is subject to change based on final design, inflation, and construction market conditions. Given that this is now a cooperative project with ODOT, their staff has encouraged the city to submit a new application for construction funding through RVMPO's CMAQ process, indicating that the project is well positioned for consideration. So the fiscal impact for the city is just a required match for the design and planning phase has been identified with the existing street/transportation capital fund. Additional match funding for construction will be required if CMAQ funds are awarded, and will be proposed as part of a future budget amendment or capital plan update. So staff for motion to authorize the city manager pro tem to submit a CMAQ funding application through RVMPO for the construction phase of the Creel Road Bear Creek Greenway Connector project. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Gao Ying. Are there any questions? Councilor Penamara?
Thanks, Gao Ying, for bringing this forward. I'm so excited to see this project getting closer to happening. I just wanted to catch up. I know that ODOT has done a lot of work on this. It's kind of their baby. I'm wondering if they've had a chance to review, if you've had a chance to meet with them and review what we have here in the application yet.
Yes, it's underway, and I am expecting to receive information back by end of this week, hopefully. And thank you, Councilor Penamara, for reviewing the application too.
You're very, very welcome. And can I ask
Yeah.
a follow-up? So I think some of the things were, one change that I had suggested was based on my memory, but I really wanted ODOT to, check and make sure that it was right. So I imagine that even if council, and this is a question to city manager, I think even if council our council, even if council approves, authorizes the city manager pro tem to go forward with this, there may be changes in the application, suitable changes in the application, just to make it better or more accurate.
Thank you for that permission. Yes, I would appreciate that and expect that.
Okay, so that just, we don't have to change the motion or anything. That just, it's understood that this is a little bit of a work in progress because we haven't had ODOT check it.
Yes, this is a draft. of the
And I just want to, I think Gao Ying's work on this has been wonderful, but there's one thing that's trusting my memory that I do not trust. So.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Councilor Byers?
Just that I know so many members of our community have been so excited for this connector to go in, and it will make it so much safer for folks at the south end of town to access the bike path conveniently. And I thank staff for heading back into all this work to make this happen.
Yeah, this is a good one. Which, is this on the TSP? Can't remember. Is it? So we'll
think
be
so. I
taking
think it
something
has
off the
been.
TSP. Well, that's exciting.
This was re-added to the steep. It was on the TIP before. So
Okay.
And
yeah, it's in our transportation plan as well, for sure.
Yep. Yep, all the boxes. All right. So I'll entertain a motion. If there's no more questions, Counselor Collet.
Move to authorize the city manager pro tem to submit CMAQ funding application through RVMPO for construction phase of the Creel Road Bear Creek Greenway Connector Project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the city manager pro tem to submit a CMAQ funding application through RVMPO for the construction phase of the Creel Road Bear Creek Greenway Connector Project. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Foley,
Yes.
Counselor Penemra,
Yes.
Counselor Byers,
Yes.
Counselor Prenor,
Yes.
motion carries, Mayor.
Thank you, Hector. Thank you for your help with that, Counselor Penamara. All right, the next item on the agenda is 9.1, the city manager's report. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, I'll touch on just a few things briefly. With potential changes to federal grants, including some grants that the city has already received from FEMA. Staff are making sure that all of our reimbursements are up to date and being completed. We do not have any grants that have been canceled, but we have been put on notice that there is going to be some additional scrutiny on those grants. So we are making sure that our draws are being funded. The staff is, several of the staff members are, well, really all of the management team is working together on our insurance update for the year to make sure that we're appropriately insured and are not insuring any equipment that we have put out of service. We all, staff have been meeting with our consultant and RV support from RV Cog to prepare an engineering services request for proposal for the Pier Gateway project that we're expecting to release over the coming month. That would begin the design of that work. As folks I'm sure who have been by City Hall have noticed, weed abatement work is well underway and by the seasonal crew. And we have a new code compliance officer who's going to be starting next week. Ensuring that our residents are keeping an eye on weeds as well will be an important part of his first phase of work. I would just finally note on several of the larger projects, the OWEB tree planting grant is winding up, and we've had some good additional interest over the last few months or so of that project, and have found good homes for all the trees that we had funding to plant. In large part thanks to groundwork by Hector, and then Gao Ying also stepped in and supported the management of that project. That historic town hall foundation work is underway, and the projects to resurface the skate park and install advanced metering infrastructure in the city's water system are queued up to begin shortly. With that, I will stop and see if there are any questions.
Counselor Collet?
Yeah, thanks for the report. Do you know off the top of your head, does the city manage the landscaping at Gateway, or is Access or a contractor?
I don't know off the top of my head where that falls. If there's a specific item you'd like me to track down, I'd be happy to do that.
I was just curious of it was not being maintained until it looks like yesterday some work was done, but it's looking pretty rough. That's my comment. So I was curious if it was part of I understand like city was hiring seasonal staff members and there's a backlog obviously, but if it wasn't the city maintaining it, I was just curious what was going on there. So.
No, Access was doing some of it as part of their lease agreement, but to what extent, I don't know. Yeah. So I'm just offering that information as perhaps a place to, just
Thank you.
to start.
We'll check that out.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, next item on the agenda is the police department report. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. And the chief is enjoying some well-deserved leave time. So this perhaps would have been better on the consent agenda, but if there are questions from the council, I'd be happy to do my best to attempt to answer them or bring them to the chief.
Any questions or comments? No, my only comment is just I continue to really appreciate the level of detail that we're getting in these reports. Next item on the agenda is committee and commission reports. Should we just start at one end and work our way around? Counselor, I'm going to go by the numbers. Counselor Byers?
I was at the budget committee meeting.
What's that?
I was at the budget committee meeting
Oh.
and missed Parks.
Okay. Counselor Perry Miller?
TPAC met earlier this month, so they haven't met since the last council meeting.
Counselor Panamarev? Council President Panama?
I just need to point out that Councilor
I know.
Miller is number one and it's just
It's just a
mislabeled.
typo.
Name tags can be deceiving. Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have it. I don't have anything. I think I reported out last time.
all right. Counselor Collier?
I was at the budget committee meeting as well, so I missed the urban forestry committee meeting.
All right. And for me, the planning commission meets next week, so I'll have something to report out after that. Next item on the agenda is other business or future agenda items. Is there any other business or future agenda items? Counselor Panamarev?
Yeah, I'll just report that I was able to serve on Fire District 5's budget committee. And Fire District 5 did pass a budget last night with help of over the course of the other budget committee members were Lisa Shapiro and Joy Riley, and of course our planning commissioner Derek Fulcourt is a member of the board. Joy wasn't able to attend the last meeting, but she had contributed earlier on. Yeah. And so we still have a fire district. That's the good news.
It's, keep those reports coming. And congratulations on winning the seat
Yeah.
and becoming a great representative, moving from budget to now the board.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything? So is there,
On the last page of the packet report. Look ahead.
do you want to take us through the look ahead? Anybody?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Hector, for providing the documents. Wanted to highlight the, well, we have, it appears that we do not need either of the May 28th tentative budget committee meeting. So the next meeting of the city council will be on June 4th. And then we also have June 18th scheduled, and it might be an opportune moment to take to see if what council's pleasure was in terms of July 2nd. I understand that you, this body does often take one meeting off during the course of the summer, and I imagine folks may be making plans about their travel and whether that July 2nd was one that you wanted to have or perhaps not.
Counselor Panamarev?
Yeah, just I am going to be taking a vacation, but it'll probably be after July 2nd, like, mid-July. I'm not sure I'll miss a meeting, but the second July meeting would be easier for me to have as the vacation, but other people can weigh in.
Anybody have any thoughts on this? Counselor Byers?
I have no thoughts, but I support reducing down to one council meeting at some point in the summer. Just overall, yeah.
I feel like it used to be August.
Yeah, I thought it was in some document that it was that we take August off, but I can't remember what it was.
I mean, I would just say July 2nd is fine, but I think that I would just defer to staff as far as like what's coming up and what's the load when that time off is taken, because I know we have a lot. So that would be my preference.
Counselor Penamara?
I just want to add, I think it's for
Counselor Coley?
You know when Councilor Pestizo's leave of absence ends? So it's
End of June? Yeah.
So he
Mm.
maybe, I don't know if he'd be back by July 2nd, but maybe that could
I
give
can-
them one more meeting.
I'd be happy to send him a text to recover and ask. Yeah.
Sounds, Mayor, if I may, it sounds like a good approach might be to poll the council and see if there are any dates at any point in July or August that are requested. And then we can plan accordingly.
And by poll, do you mean like doodle poll?
I mean,
Or now?
and just an individual email to each
Yeah,
of you all.
okay.
to-
Great. All right, sounds good.
Great. And then in terms of upcoming items, I am planning on presenting a potential cost structure for the Talent Community Resource Center to you all next at a study session on June 4th. And touching base on both the peer scope that I alluded to earlier and also check in with you all. Access is preparing a formal notice to residents at Gateway, and they've requested our input. So I think that will be good timing to share that with you all. If the planning commission is ready to forward some or all of the 99 corridor plan code changes that we have noticed potentially a public hearing on June 4th for that. That would also be the night to approve the city budget. And on the 18th, I have tentatively scheduled further discussions about the disposition of the Gateway site and also the Gateway, the items, the property, how council would prefer to decide where the murals in particular should go, but the other items there as well. And we do have a supplemental budget that needs to be passed by council before the end of the 2025 year. And I took a few of the items that are sort of longer distance items off this future unscheduled items. And so these are more the items that I see in the near future in July. Study sessions, potentially about committees and commission structures and chronic nuisance code when TPAC is ready to put forward a suggestion about public art approval. And then I understand there's an interest in perhaps hearing a presentation from Firebrand about the Firewise work in the community, and staff need to get to work on the agreed plan that you requested to start talking about revenue options and also bring a fee schedule for update.
Great. Any comments or questions? Thank you.
Absolutely.
These look aheads are really great. All right. So item number 12 is written communications. There are none, so we will adjourn this meeting at 8:56. Thank you, everybody.